In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
How are you, my flickery light friend?
Doing good, man. A long time no see there, stranger.
I know. We're all like
Damn.
old and have responsibilities and stuff. Do you remember back when we were like both like fun employed when we started this thing?
Yeah, that was. I wish I could still remember those days. They're foggy. They're a little
Mhm.
foggy now. But
Yes.
yeah, that was really nice. It's a good time.
I know. And now we're just like disappointing our 11 fans.
Miller time.
Oh boy. I don't have,
Mm.
here's the thing. A part of me thinks that like I wonder if our sworn enemies, the arbiters of sparkling beverages,
Yeah.
over at Off Topic, I wonder if our friends over there / enemies thought that the beef caused us to quit the podcasting game, because this is what, it's been a month since we published anything,
Yeah, they
mostly
put some
because we've been
pressure on us.
insanely busy,
Yeah.
and it's right after the starting of the beef around sparkling beverages. So to just double down on not being sparkling water snobs, I'm going the most lowbrow possible. I've got Trader Joe's brand
Oh,
sparkling water, just to go full into the teeth of the beef, if you will.
out of respect for different strokes for different folks, I'm not going to make any comments. So,
However, we're not dead.
We're
We're very much still alive.
the rumors
those.
of our death have been greatly exaggerated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? Like, we're recording this now when we're alive, but I don't know what's going to happen the moment we stop recording. This might never see the light of day. Like, we might get hit by lightning or chupacabra attack. I'm not sure.
No one will find this recording until we've been dead for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. They'll just find my like desiccated skeleton in this exact chair. Yeah, it will be good. What and it's not like you and I have been really catching up, other than us being really busy.
Dude, no, it's like, yeah, it's been swampy. Finally,
spanned.
I think a month ago we talked about selling property, so one of them's officially listed this morning, so progress.
Ooh.
Finally. Dude, speaking of taking time off, I went like 48 days without posting to YouTube. That's how swamped I've been. It's been pretty bad, but I'm
Your ass
glad,
is swamped.
dude. Constantly. It's also like almost 90 degrees in the garage, so it's definitely
It helps, I've heard.
there's some humidity in the south tonight, with a chance of it going further south as we go on, but
It's moving in. Yeah,
it's moving down, a little drip factor. But yeah, no, I've been missing this a lot, and I want it. I'm so glad I got it back in my life, and it feels good. It feels good, my man, to sit down and talk pointless bullshit usually about cars.
it is. And I think the flavor of bullshit that we decided that we wanted to talk about today was in a future when we actually have time, you and or I, and we can go back to actually working on projects, like this abandoned thing behind me that's been here for almost the entire duration of the podcast. Like, I've been moving some stuff, right? I've gotten, and maybe that'll come up in Project Car Progress stuff, is I've been getting rid of some things, which is about damn time, but it's been happening. Yeah. And so, what happens once the car guy math kicks in? It's like, well, I just sold like 2 cars, maybe 3 cars. Now, like, what can I do with that money and available parking spaces? Bring in more projects.
Logical. It's logical.
And so, like, what's been kind of floating around the back of your medulla oblongata as far as what kind of potential projects you've been yearning for in the near future?
And they're always out there, right? No matter what our situation, you should always be looking forward, Frank. You should always have your eyes set upon the horizon, not at your feet.
Right.
So think about the future projects, even though you can't have now. I've had so many great projects already vetoed from my chief financial wife, and which sucks. But I still got to sell 2 cars because we're going to stay at her place for a while before we get the new place. And there's a 3-car garage. There's not a lot of street parking, so I get to put 3 cars in that garage. And that's tough given the kind of car hoarder I am. So you got the Corvette 01, you got the Galant, and unfortunately I don't have time to do the Neon. My time is short at this establishment where my shop space is. So the Neon, Corvette, and Galant are in the garage. That means NX, and Mr. Summit Wagon need to go before I
Ooh.
even move. And we're on like with a house listed, we're on a 30-day right now. It's looking like it's 30 to 45 days because it's probably going to go pretty quick.
Right.
I'm gonna fucking get to work, man. So I got 2 cars. Those are the 2 cars I need to finish. I can tow the other ones there. I can take my time with them, but I can't add anything. Literally can't add anything to the fleet. You know,
Forbidden. Strictly forbidden.
strictly forbidden. So I'm locked. I'm locked right now. So all I can do is dream.
Dream a little dream with
And I have.
me.
And I
Yeah.
dream. I have my marketplace saved list as healthy as ever. It's aging. But I sent you something the other day, and it's in this vein. Since you asked me what I'm actually keeping my eye on, I want another vintage off-roader, much in the vein of my Suzu
Yeah.
Trooper. That was a sweet spot for me. Really enjoyed it, and I kind of want to have another thing to bring back because that thing was pretty rough when I got it. Oil stains everywhere I parked. The paint was shit. The interior was shit, and I actually made it pretty presentable. So dude, I'm always looking. You know me, Suzuki Sidekicks Geo Trackers.
Yes.
I just have a spot in my heart for them. I don't know what to say. First gen Pathfinders are also on my list whenever I find a pretty clean one.
Yes.
And by
Yes.
clean,
Yes.
I mean shitty and I can fix it up.
Mhm.
I kind of want a manual 2-door CRV or RAV4, but they seem
Yeah.
to be a little pricey. I think people know them well enough, and the upcharge on them is kind of ridiculous right now. I'm sure you see them from time to time, and just
Yeah.
people are
They're
asking
like,
stupid amounts for them.
yeah, 10 grand, and it's like
Ugh.
overdue on maintenance and on and on and on. Like, they're very cool, but
You get 3 first-gen Pathfinders for that. But the one I sent you was another car I really like, and it's really a Mitsubishi, but it's badged as a Dodge
the
Raider.
Raider.
Yeah, and that was a sweet one. That thing sold
Raiders.
in one day of being listed, which I thought it would. It
Mhm.
was down. It was down quite a ways. It was like Paso Robles, I think, was so.
Mhm.
It would have been a haul. Man, I looked at that thing every night, like for the one night it was listed, and I just kind of fantasized about it. It had a cool paint scheme, decal scheme, but it is what it is, my friend. But you asked, so I'm going to answer. I'm looking for vintage off-roaders, and I'll get another one, sometime here. But that's what I've been kind of dreaming about, man. How about you?
Yeah. I mean,
Anything like that?
just to second that, because that's kind of on my short list. And I
Mhm.
think what's interesting about the kind of 80s to 90s vintage off-roader thing is when you look at pricing on stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you have Toyota, 2-door GMT 400 stuff, and I guess just like, and whether that's like 2-door Yukon GT, two-door Tahoe, that GMT 400 Blazer, or
Mm-hmm.
even just like standard cab 4x4 trucks.
Yeah.
Those are all worth money. Everything almost, and some special spec like F150s and stuff.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of makes me want something like find a good Mazda Navajo,
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Manual
or a
Navajo.
Ranger, like a really low rent mid 80s Ranger. They're kind of garbage, but they're cheap.
I like them.
The 4x4s are cool.
Single cab Ranger.
And yeah, or like a Bronco 2 would be rad.
Yeah.
I probably the one for me is that first gen Pathfinder. Those are so cool. And
I love them too, man.
They come up with high mileage 2-door for not a ton of money from time to time. Now they're not common, so you got to keep your eyes out. But I absolutely second that. I would love something like that. Just rough enough around the edges where it's like the camping mobile, right? Like you can go throw a kid or two, throw a dog or two, throw a tent or two, throw a beverage or two in it, and just, oh no, I ran over a huge bush. Doesn't matter. Doesn't care.
Matter.
Like maybe you care about the bush. Unless it's Jeb. Nobody cares about Jeb. But yeah, I mean, like you can just like get it scratched and dirty and it just doesn't matter. And you spend $3,800 on a nice one and you're great. So yeah, I second that by a lot. What's another one? I'm kind of torn because part of me wants to just play in that wheelhouse, right? We're like, hey, let me sell a bunch of stuff. And now I've got some parking space and money, not a lot of money, but more money than I normally spend on cars, right? And so part of me like kind of wants to get something kind of cool, like nice, like spend
Oh,
more than $5,000 on something,
a little
right?
blue for
Like,
my
which is what
blood.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of, oh boy, breaking the bank.
This
But it
man.
kind of makes me want to, what I've been looking around at, and I've seen some sell for under 30 grand. And it's a car that is kind of a bucket list car for me. And I just saw one that one of my homies here has local and will be selling. It needs a little bit of work, and unfortunately, it's an automatic transmission, which is why this particular example is cheap. But find like a little bit tattered but good FDRX7.
I've
Like
seen
I
a couple. I've
really,
seen a couple.
I really want one, and I don't care if it's
Ah,
like got some warts and some dings, but if it's mostly stock and still has a rotary, has some miles, but like has been kept up, part of me is like, oh yeah, spend 25 on get a nice but flawed example. But guess what?
that's
We're talking projects here.
yeah.
It's gonna be a project. Like those
And
cars in the best shape are a project. Um,
yeah.
but I would love to get to a point where even if I just own it for a summer or a year,
Mm-hmm.
if I buy it right and I'd manage to dodge the rotary needs a rebuild bullet,
Yeah.
right?
That's it.
Um, and do the project, do tires and do, PCV, like just do, does a rotary even have a PCV system? I don't even know.
That's
But
a good
like,
question.
yeah, I straight up don't know.
Great question.
So yeah, like
Mm,
they're just so cool
beautiful car.
and pretty. Like I would say that top 5 prettiest cars of all time.
Yeah, they look right. They look uh wheels are a big deal on those, getting the right wheels on them.
I like the
I
stock wheels.
stock, yeah.
Yeah.
Aftermarket wheels tend to ruin those things like instantly, in my opinion, like garish wheels or uh any body add-ons. I think that body looks so good because it's kind of minimalist. It's very sleek, very, very low. It has a lot of great swooping lines throughout. And I love the design. It's simple, but once you start adding like body kits and lips and weird,
The proportions on those cars are just so perfect.
it's beautiful. And like I've
Yeah.
ridden in a few of them. I've driven a couple. I love them. Have you ever considered buying an RX-8 to kind of wade into that water? I mean, it's doable, dude. And like
But so less pretty.
they're
Like if
absolutely
I'm gonna, in
later
my mind, like if I'm gonna put up, yeah, the later run ones
later
are,
ones.
they can be handsome.
Mm-hmm. Good looking.
I would never consider that car pretty.
No,
I
but
would never consider it timeless. I would
you'll
never
never pay
consider it
mid
beautiful.
30s for an RX-8. You know, you'll pay
No, you'll
mid
pay
3000s. Like
sure, but it's what's funny is like the amount of bullshit that us car guys will put up with if a car is like genuinely pretty,
mm,
right? Like if that RX-7 looked like just an earlier RX-8, it too would only be worth $5,000.
yeah, I mean the engine's special, man. That twin turbo.
No, it's yeah, the engine's
It's
special,
stout.
but
It's
like
more
that car is
stout than the
so
one in the
pretty.
RX-8 too.
Well, the car is so pretty, like we'll put up with it.
Yeah.
Like people like, same with like a Ferrari 355.
Mm,
A 355 is a beautiful car that makes incredible noises, but it's going to take 30 grand out of your wallet every single year.
yeah.
But that's okay. People will pay it, right?
Sacrifices.
And they drive okay, but they don't drive great. But it's pretty and makes good noises. So RX-7 is the same deal. I realize even getting a nice one would be a project, but I'd like to just own one, even for just like a year.
Are you considering like consolidating down? Would you consolidate down to grab something like
Yeah,
that so
and
you have money to put in?
I've been doing that, and I got a long
Yeah.
way to go.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've got another 924 behind me to sell. I've got a
Because
freaking woolly wagon and
yeah,
a
FD yeah, dude, FDRX-7 is not street parking, you know? So you'd have to get that 94 the hell out of there.
yeah, yeah. No, and it would be cool, and it was just to have one for a year and then move
Mhm.
it on. And if it cost me a couple $1,000s in maintenance and then okay, like that's fine. Um, But yeah, like that I've owned a lot of stuff. I've never owned, in my opinion, anything that is like kind of poster child worthy. Right? Like I can't like, like I just haven't. I just, I don't know if anyone had a first gen Barracuda as a poster child car. Probably not. I don't think anyone's owned a Galant VR4 as their poster child. I don't think anyone's.
You watch your damn mouth, boy.
I mean, as cool when it was new as a second gen Supra was, that's not really anyone's poster. The Mark IV was. The Mark II never really was.
True.
An FDRX7's a poster car. It just is.
It's one of the icons. It's up there with obviously Mark.
Your NSX that you've had.
My NSX, my 300
your Z32. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
those are the
poster child.
The icons, right?
E46 M3. You've owned a handful of them. I never have, and so I kind of want to.
You want to get in that territory, huh?
Right. But I also want to buy other really cheap shit. I'll talk about that in a minute. What else? What else do you have in your?
Dude, I want a fucking pickup truck, and I don't want modern big ass monster truck Bigfoot. I want a pickup truck. I don't even care if it's 4-wheel drive because I'll get a cheap off-roader. I'm looking for something, and you hit on it with the old Ranger, because that's been on my list too. And I even wrote old S10 or Ranger. Nissan hard body, even an 80s F-150, which is a little bigger, but I want single cab, I want bench seat, manual, and just a simple freaking truck that I can throw shit in the back of and just live that life where I can have a bench and just have a good time, man. I just want a simple truck, dude. They've been looking good. Vintage trucks look really good, especially small trucks. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, like you're right. And what's funny is when you were saying simple trucks, I was kind of thinking back to like, oh, we're back at like the cheap 4-wheel drive thing, because I was talking Ranger and stuff like that. You were talking more SUV. And yeah, those simple trucks are great. I went on a mini truck kick for a minute. I've never owned one, but I've wanted like pick up an old bullet side Datsun 620.
Yeah.
From the 70s. Similar deal, except 2x. Are you strictly looking at 4-wheel drive?
No, strictly 2-wheel drive for the truck. Yeah, I'll have the off-roader. I feel like if you add the 4-wheel drive, it just adds another layer of complexity, weight. I don't need that. I want something so damn simple. Rear-wheel drive, manual, bench seat. That's all I want. Single cab. If we're gonna try to set 4, we're gonna try to seat 4. But I really just want a simple little truck like that, man. I've just been looking at them, and whenever I see a clean one, I find myself fantasizing about them because they're getting very rare, as you know.
Yeah, no, they are, and they're such like a bygone era type of thing. Like it's just the absolute closest thing we have to a modern day equivalent of that is the Ford Maverick. And that's a unibody 4-door hybrid with like a 5.5-foot bed.
Yeah, not the same.
It's just not even close. So
an absolutely forgotten relic, like small truck.
Yeah, get the B2000
2200. Yeah.
You know what would be back to go full rotary kick, dude? One of those RPEUs, the rotary pickup trucks.
Those
the
are
REPUs, I should say.
That is right.
So cool, like such a not great idea as a concept, and they weren't great in execution, which is why they were, I think, like 74 to 76 only or something like that.
Super cool. Yeah,
but what a cool thing. And yeah, that would be cool. Just the utilitarian and just like neat. Like I had like for a while I was like, hey, like me and like my parents and my in-laws and my neighbors will all go like 4 ways on one. Everyone pitch in like $500, and then we just have the community like dump runner, move the couch,
parts store,
go pick up bags of dirt from Home Depot, whatever. And then you do the math, and you're like, well, I'll just rent the truck for like $80 for the one weekend that I needed out of the year, and it's cheaper. But
not the same.
It's not the same. It's not
even like an old Jeep Comanche or something fun like that. There's so many cool, something boxy and simple, man. Bench seat. And it pisses me off that a lot of those Nissans aren't. Some of the hard bodies do have a bench, but most of those Nissan pickups are, bucket seats. So fuck them because they look so good. But Yeah, dude, just something simple truck, man. Right up there with my simple off-roader. But yeah, the off-roader's got to be more capable, more robust. That truck, simple, cheap. And I'm talking, dude, you go back and look at those old S10s and all old Rangers. You under $6,000 for a pretty damn perfect one.
For
So
sure.
they're out there, and it's just like, God, I want one. I just want to scoop one. But yeah, it's on my list for sure. It'll
No,
happen. It'll happen.
Super cool. It'll happen. Pick yourself up a Mighty Max,
Yep.
a Ram 50. There's some they're out there. They're cool, and it's crazy how there's a lot of stuff where they don't make them like that anymore, and so now they're valuable, right? Like
yeah,
the more traditional body on frame Bronco and Blazer and first gen 4Runner SUVs. They don't make them like that anymore, and so now those are worth a lot of money. Stuff like MR2s, those are worth money because that's a car that's not made anymore. But those cool. Those two by trucks, those mini trucks, are just, for the most part, they haven't gained a lot of value.
If it doesn't have a Toyota badge on it,
and they all got destroyed. Yeah, I want an old Stout, like an old 60s Toyota Stout, like a 67 Stout would be sick.
Hell yeah, dude.
But yeah, you know what? To two things. So first off, I honorable mention when I was mentioning like older SUVs, an OG Land Rover Discovery, a Disco 1.
Oh yeah.
Like a 96.
Emphasis
Discovery
on
1.
project, but yeah, I like it. I like where
those are so cool. Like, they've aged incredibly well. They were cool then, they're cool now. They're kind of like, I mean, I feel like they've been a decent one has been $5,000 for 15 years.
It's true. Yeah.
They haven't depreciated or appreciated. They've just kind of sustained at like, okay, it's cool, so it's worth nothing, but they're always broken, so it's not going to be worth anything. I would like one of those. But beyond that, a car I've driven, it's been a very long time. I'd like a first gen Integra.
Yeah.
I really would like a first gen Integra. They're not fast, but they're bolted together well. They're buzzy. They're tossable. The inputs are good. They're, if I remember from when I drove one before, the power steering's pretty over assisted.
Over.
Gotta sneeze. I should just sneeze on mic. Let's see. No, I got no more. The second sneeze is the on mic sneeze. But yeah, one of those first gen. It doesn't even have to be a 2-door. I could be a 4-door. I just want it to be a manual. But the really cool ones are like the black with like the gold package, or the white with the white wheels.
Serious question though, Frank. When's the last time you saw a clean one? Because every one I see driving is beaten to shit.
Yeah, it's got 274,000 miles and it's haggard.
70% Bondo. It's just horrible wheels and just
paint's faded and it's full of
paint's been gone for decades.
Newspapers and toenail clippings, and it's just
always right. They're always just beat the shit. Which is a shame because they're pretty good looking cars too. When they're clean ones, you're like, when you see a clean one, you're like, holy shit, now I get it. But most of them you see are just, it's horrible.
Because they were they were like 112 horsepower or something. They were not.
Yeah, but they were still at the time though, it was still considered a pretty sporty car from like Honda, if you will, air quotes Honda on that one. But it was still considered a pretty veritable, affordable sports car.
Yeah, no, they were good. They were, I'm just looking up. Yeah, 86 to 89. And what was the horsepower? What do we got?
Ballpark, like 120 land for sure. It's got to be.
Yeah, because it was a D16, right? 113 horsepower. I was off by a pony. Oh no, then this one says 88 to 89 engines got a bump, so they got a 5 horsepower bump, so they got to be 118 horsey powers. But yeah, I would really, I don't know, I would like one. I think it would be rad. I just need to find one for not $1 billion. Find one that's just has some miles, needs some deferred maintenance, parts are available.
That's a car that's probably not at all considered rare, but finding a clean one and
is rare.
Yeah, is genuinely rare. How about And I know both you and I like Lexus as a brand. We
Mhm.
like the vintage Lexus. I mean, of course, I'd love to get a manual version of the ES 300, but I've been kind of daydreaming about a clean one, and I'll put GS 300 or GS 400 in this group because
Mhm.
those three cars are incredibly affordable for what they are. You can go get an absolutely pampered model with higher mileage because guess what? They always
Mhm.
ran, they're comfortable, and people like them. So they always have high
Well,
mileage,
doggone
but
it,
they're still well
people
taken
like them.
care of.
Yeah.
You can get them for nothing, Frank. You can go dump like 3 to 5 and get the cleanest or a clean at least example of any of those three I just named. And I think it's an absolute value in today's car market. Those are great cars anywhere you cut them.
They're a good
Mm.
daily for someone who kind of doesn't want like the modern feel. They don't feel like old school, right?
No,
Like if they're a product of their time. In fact, for their time, they were a little ahead of their time, right? As far as
in some ways, and in some ways they were behind.
sure, yeah, yeah. You look at the gauges on those like early GSs, and you're like, what is?
They are fucking cool, but yeah, you're right. Like, what the hell? And you're like, let's keep the tape deck until 2008. But yeah,
Yeah, but like they're bolted together really well. Some of the old schoolness of them is like,
so
it
good.
doesn't have the bells and whistles, but it's got power this and power that, and everything is comfortable, and the materials are good, and it's bolted together really well, and so they hold up and they're just good. If that's what you want, and you don't want any of the modern stuff, you don't want the screen or haptic touch or nannies or whatever. It's a good daily. It's a good solution.
Yeah, they look great too. I think those ES 300s, I think the later run ones actually look really good. Get it in a good
Mm-hmm.
two-tone. Interiors are comfy. I mean, it's basically the most reliable car, the Camry, gussied up. And then I've always been a sucker for the four headlight GSs. I just love
Mm-hmm.
that design. I think it's the second gen is my favorite, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, you're right. The first Giugiaro designed first generation ones are cool, but they're kind of
Yeah,
goofy looking in their own route.
yeah, not as good. The second gen really cleans things up, and you can get in that really nice green with a tan leather interior. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the way. And you can score a GS 400, which is actually a pretty quick car because it's a
Mm-hmm.
bit lighter than the LS, and it has that wonderful V8. And we know that V8 will outlast all of us, even cockroaches. So it's a
Yes.
what a buy. What a buy. But if you can find one that's avoided sideshows and
Good
VIP
luck.
treatments, yeah, dude, they're a hell of a buy right now.
Yeah. No, they are, and they're cool. They're just
Cool
good.
car.
They just
Yeah.
good. They just work. And you don't care and feeding is light. Parts are eminently available. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to get
Do
one that just
recommend.
needs a little maintenance, and I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
bring one back and
You
just,
like doing timing belts?
yeah, and I'm cool with that. If an engine just needs timing belts, I'll take that every time over like a timing chain guide failure prone
Mm-hmm.
engine.
Wiped cam or something. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, every time.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm trying to think if I've got any. You know what I do want?
Hmm.
I kind of want another K car of some kind,
Okay.
which is on the project side
Okay.
a little daunting, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, great, I have to source parts, or I got to, whatever.
That's it. Yep.
But if I can find one that's kind of put together, and I just hope it isn't a project until it is, I kind of want, a K car. But what I
Hmm.
don't know is like, do I get like another K truck or van? Probably
Yeah.
not. I mean, maybe,
Something
right? Get like
different.
an Acti or something. But yeah, I kind of want like a cappuccino,
Mm. Love
um,
cappuccinos.
an Alto Works. I think an Alto Works would be really cool. There's some good stuff out there. The Subaru. What is it? What do they call it? The something Bistro, or it's
Oh,
it's
yeah, I know what you're
the
talking about.
little 660cc supercharged four banger, the Clover 4 with a supercharger. It's good for 54 horsepower.
Yeah,
Um,
not an AZ1 man, are you?
they're cool. They just command too much money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to spend that much on something that, if I fall out of love with it, or I decide I don't want to drive that death trap anymore.
Hmm.
Um, hopefully, yeah. If I bought it cheap, yeah. If I found a cheap one, then sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Even like an old like BE1 or something, which isn't even a K car necessarily, but yeah, one of the Pike cars. A
Mm.
Mira walkthrough van are cool. There's a bunch of cool stuff that like is not a lot of money.
There's a lot.
And that's the allure. Yeah, that's kind of maybe my honorable mention here as we start to kind of round this thing out.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Obviously, my last point was I don't know, finishing my own damn project cars.
Yeah.
So there's that. I always put my own stuff down in the end that I know I'm going to keep. Like I'm not getting rid of that Gaunt. The ZR1's probably going to be a long-term fleet toy.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just leaves me to knock out the neon. Yeah, I just got to get the neon out of here. NX is done. I got the Summit wagon. Speaking of, you're like, I want to purchase something nice. And I'm like looking at my background is like a $0 small little weird van thing and an $1,800 super obscure
Hell yes.
SR20 powered Nissan with T-top. So yeah, dude. But no, they're both very cool in their own rights. And I love them both. And you know me, I keep it weird, dude. But like, I'd like to get these guys out the door and make room. I'd love to bring my VR4 back because I think I'm gonna do sneaky mods, like I told you.
Ooh,
so
sneaky weaky.
Yeah, turbo upgrade, fuel upgrade. I already got suspension, so I'm gonna turn that thing to a secret little rally weapon. So
that'd be dope.
That's the long-term plan, man.
Hell yeah, I'm in support of it, sir.
Yeah, that car's going nowhere. It's so nice, but cool, man. Should we play a little quiz game if we remember the rules to our own game?
Yes, we should. I will. I believe you are going to quiz me. So you dig up the app. I will expunge, if that's a word. Expose. I don't know. I'm just combining words today. I'm just going to tell the people what the hell we're doing, which is getting confused about our own podcast because we don't do it anymore. In addition to that, we're going to play our print ad quiz game. It should have a better name, but it doesn't. And what's going to happen is Chadwick is going to find a automotive print ad from perhaps a magazine or other print publication from the 80s, the 90s, up until the mid 2000s, and he's going to read the type copy from it whilst omitting out any overly identifying information. It will then be incumbent upon me to guess within 3 guesses within 10 minutes what make, model, and approximate year that we are discussing. Yeah, that's kind of it. I can ask for hints in between. I'm not going to need them. Chadwick, I'm ready.
You sounded pretty confident. So yeah, let's do this thing. The ad is a 2-page spread, my friend. We're getting there.
Boy.
It's a very important vehicle, obviously. It's the vehicle passenger side 3/4 angle on that front corner. Beautiful image. A young man, young woman in the bed of this vehicle, gazing towards the background, which I can only hope is something beautiful to look at. So here's the ad. The big tagline: "Who said good looks can't take you anywhere?" Ooh, take that, folks. Introducing the new blank. Take a good look. What? Say again.
That's it. That's all I get.
That's all you get. That's it. You have 10 minutes on. No, take a good look at our new good looks. Clever writing. We've made some changes inside and out. Roomiest interior. We gave blank the largest cab of any standard import. And then we made the most of it with the new seats. Trim is like its own words. I don't know what that the door cards, maybe. Instrument panel, larger gauges, the whole shot. 2 wheelbases. If you size it up, you'll discover 2 new bed lengths, both regular 6 foot and long 7.4 inches or feet.
Ooh.
Both double wall constructed, 4-speed automatic. This year, you can shift to an all-new 4-speed automatic overdrive transmission. But if you'd rather change gears, this one's for you, my friend. There's the standard 5-speed. Improved payloads. We're also, and that's what that young man is unloading on that young woman.
That's right. Yeah, he's unloading
payload.
Right.
Look how improved it is.
Good Lord. We've also equipped Blake to shoulder heavy burdens with a new available 2,000-pound payload rating and with a 2.6-liter overhead cam engine. You'll really be sitting pretty. Buy or lease a new blank. There's no telling where good looks can take you. Frank, I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock. What vehicle are we talking about today?
Okay. So it's an import and it's a pickup truck. So immediately we're going to pretend that the entire continent of Europe does not exist. What I don't know is if it's a captive import or not. If it's a 2.6, it makes me immediately think of the Mitsubishi Astron motor, which is the 2.6, which they also had in the Starion and Conquest in turbocharged form. This is not a Toyota. It is not a Nissan. It could be, because Nissan, you had the 2.4, either the Napa Z motor or then later the KA, or 3-liter V6. When the Mazda became I do believe they did have a B2600. But what I don't know is, did they do a short cab, long cab? I know they had the what they call their extended. I know extra cab was Toyota, King cab was Nissan. I don't remember what Mitsubishi called theirs. I don't remember what I want to say Mazda was Space Cab. I think that's what they call their extended cab. Right. I think they called it the Space Cab. And so they probably did offer 2 wheelbases at the 2 different cab configurations, but I don't remember them having a long bed. So initially, I'm going to go with the one I don't remember what they call their cab. So I'm going to say their extra cab. I'm going to take my first shot and shout into the void that this is a 19. If they're advertising dual wall bed and they're advertising the glory that is a 4-speed automatic, brand new, this is, I'm going to say it's a 1986. I don't feel great about that, but I'm going to say it. 1986 Mitsubishi. I believe they were calling it, were they calling it the Mighty Max then? Or was it just like the Mitsubishi pickup? I suppose it could be in a Isuzu Pup. I don't remember the displacement on those. I know they had an available diesel, and they didn't mention anything about diesel. I'm going to say this is a 1986-ish Mitsubishi Mighty Max. Final answer.
This pickup truck is not as mighty as the Mighty Max.
Okay. All right. I guess the only hint is like one you would probably lead me down anyways. Like, I'm assuming I get the manufacturer correct?
You did not.
Okay.
Well,
fair.
No, you didn't get
I was going to say, well, okay, so it's a Dodge Ram 50.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
We'll give it to you on round 2. This is introducing the new Dodge Ram 50. This would be for the model year 1987.
So I did get the manufacturer correct.
That's why I said no, but yes.
Yeah.
On paper though, no.
Yeah.
It's got a big
fair
chocolate
starfish.
That's
that I did not get on the first. And I thought about that too, but it's funny because they called out import, right?
They did.
Which Dodge was like, they did not shy away from the fact that it was a captive import. Like they would sing it like.
There's a second tagline I didn't read. It says Dodge import trucks. We're going places.
Yeah.
So right there, these are fantastic. These are big. We had beaters in high school. We all,
What year is it?
Things.
What year is that?
87. One? So this would
87.
I forget what 86. It's the 4th gen, I think, or of the Dodge 50 series, Ram 50 series. But yeah,
I like the gen before that. The one right before it, where like the fenders are a little bit more roundy.
I like these guys because this is effectively the Mighty Max, that we know and love. But cool little trucks, man. I got a kick out of this, dude. That's pretty impressive. Everyone I think I've ever seen is the 6-foot bed. I don't think I've seen a 7-foot 4.
I don't know that I've ever seen those in a long bed. That's what I'm like. Did they make
a
long bed? Same with the Mazda. Like I think I've seen a Mazda with like an LE5 or SE5. Mazda.
True, but have you ever seen a Ram 50 with the almost 7.5-foot bed? That's pretty sizable. That truck was small. They're so small when you see them. And if you get the 2-wheel drive versions, and they come up to like your nipple level, which is a great height for a truck.
It is. Yeah. It's right where you want it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Cool
no, how
truck, man.
cool. Very cool. Yeah. The other one I was thinking of is the Mazda B2600. And I don't remember. And I think those were all fuel injected. So they were was it the B2600i for like injected?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, those are cool too. I had a buddy who had I think this was a 2200, a B2200. That was his first car.
Yep.
With a manual, and yeah, had the graphics down the side and a camper shell on it.
Yeah, and then they became Ford Rangers at one point.
Yeah,
Cool.
I missed when it was just the standalone Mazda B series, and it wasn't just a rebadge Ranger.
Yeah, even those rebadge Ranger ones were a period when Rangers were friggin' cool. So
yeah,
they're not
true.
They're not horrible at all.
Yeah, but it was just like, oh, that Ranger has a different grill, and like,
yeah,
they decided to make it like between a step side and a fleet side.
Yeah, I mean, how many vehicles did they do that to? It was like the Ranger. What was it? No, the Escape and the
because the Escape was the tribute.
Yep. The
Navajo, and then of course the Mazda Navajo was the Explorer. The Ranger in the B series. I think.
I feel like there's more.
Yeah, who knows?
That was a good relationship though, because Ford put a bunch of those sweet Mazda engines into their cars, the Ford Escort GT, a couple other things, and the transmissions. They used a lot of Mazda manual transmissions in their vehicles. So kind of
that first early Taurus SHO was a Mazda 5-speed.
Right. Yeah, the Escort GT as well. But I think Mazda at the time was struggling. Ford helped them out, and it wasn't like GM putting the final like sword into Saab. I think the Ford and Mazda relationship was actually pretty healthy for both parties. So
yeah. See, now I'm just curious what Mitsubishi called, what branding they called their extended cab.
Was it that's a good point. Yeah, for the Mighty Max. I bet
the
those
Kamikaze cab or something very Mitsubishi.
It's fun,
the Zaibatsu space. I don't know.
Seppuku or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah. You just come on out and there's just like cool it all over your driveway. And you're like, no, it didn't.
My family.
Exactly. And then it just offs itself in your driveway.
Good
yes. Good. Well, all right. Well,
yeah, man,
I managed to pull one off.
Yeah. So we should probably celebrate with a little PCP. And it's been so long, I forgot that I was about to do some PCP. But I'm talking about Project Car Progress.
Yeah.
And it's been so long, I forgot what we talked about last. I don't know if you've done anything. I've done very small things.
A little.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Project House Progress, which is a different animal.
I think I left this on a bit of a cliffhanger last time, because I think I remember I had mentioned that the Supra sold on Cars and Bids.
Right.
And I had a little bit of an issue with the buyer because there was a little bit of an issue with the car. And so I'll fill in the blanks and how that all rounded out. And I'm going to be mildly like cagey here because what I don't want to do is come across as like, this buyer backed out and they screwed me over. And that's not the case. It was a weird situation where the car acted up like a 40-year-old car. And the moment they came there to drive it back home to LA, it decided to do 40-year-old car things, like have the thermostat stick 20% of the way open and have a window motor fail. And so the extreme Cliff Notes version were they flew in to drive it home. They couldn't get it home because it started acting up. I did everything I can to correct it and fix it. They backed out of the sale. I paid for them to fly home because I'm not an asshole. And then I ended up selling it to the next guy, the second place bidder, who was like, oh, this car's great. It's actually way better than I thought it was. Like, I showed up and it was like, whatever. And so between buying airfare for strangers and spending money to get it fixed at a mechanic when I could have done it myself, but I was trying to get it done quickly for the first guy. I lost about $1,000 on just that part of it, but the car sold for 15, and I thought it was going to sell for 12. So as
So
far as I'm concerned, I'm like I'm
in the
way ahead.
green. Yeah.
Yeah,
In the green.
yeah. So like whatever. So no complaints, but that happens sometimes. It was a weird circumstance because the original buyer was probably not the right buyer for the car, if I'm being honest.
Sounds it.
It's just a really green, very good human, very well intended young buyer.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of was out over his skis. Didn't have a driver's license. Didn't know how to drive a manual.
Ooh.
Like driving it to LA, and it should have made the drive. Like I would have made that drive 100
Right.
times out of 100. It just picked its spot, and it acted up, and suddenly that was the sky is falling for this buyer because they just weren't a very mechanically inclined buyer. So long and the short of it is that car has a new home. Ironically, the second place bidder lives like 5 minutes from the first place bidder. So
Oh,
that
wow.
guy's going to see it cruising around his neighborhood, which is kind of funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that guy's really happy with the car. He's pumped on it. So good. I also sold the green 924.
That's right.
So that car is gone. And it is gone. So
It's really good.
We've talked about it on the pod previously. It's a salvage title 924. It's not great, but it's got a killer story. It's above average. It's a cool car.
Sweet little
I've always
car,
said
too.
it's going to sell for between 4,000 and 5,000. Like it's just not worth a whole lot.
Yeah, I think I always said 55 on that.
Yeah,
Was
and it did
exactly
5750 is what it sold for.
Yep.
Which I was happy with.
Good color.
The morning of the end of the auction, it was at $2,800, and I was like, oh man, if this sells for like 3, I'll be not crestfallen, but I'll feel like I got jobbed. And of course, what always happens with these auctions is it picked up steam at the end, and it sold for more than I anticipated, which was great. Helps offset the Galant that went for like $1,500 less than I anticipated. So it all comes out in the wash, and ultimately I'm still netted more than I was thinking between the 3 cars. So
nice.
All's well. Another one, younger dude, came up with a buddy from LA, drove it home. They had, remember the starter motor popped off that one time? The wire came off, and I put it back on. Well, it popped off again on them on the way home. And so I had to try and like walk them through how to do it, where to put it, because there's multiple little terminals that it would fit on, but it's got to be on the right one.
Yep.
And it was back and forth. So they were stuck on the side of the road for a few hours. Well, part of they're like, well, we're just gonna go for a walk and we'll come back, we'll let it cool down. And a couple hours later, so I had to like walk through it, and they sent me a photo, and I'm like, okay, and like put it here, and let me send you a photo, and just all this stuff. They got home, they're happy with it. The guy's really gonna put some effort into the car, which makes me really happy. It's staying in California, which is cool. He really appreciated the story of the car, so that one is gone. So I've made progress, my friend. I'm 2 cars lighter.
That's awesome to hear, man. I think you're moving in the right direction. Finally.
That's it. I know. And maybe I'll buy more. We'll talk about that later. How about you, my friend? What have you been?
Just little stuff. I think I covered how I fixed up the new CT that we got. So that thing's running perfectly. Again, I've just been working on houses. So I did like, completely renovated an entire in-law suite. So that was fun. What else have I been doing that's really fun? Just shit like that, putting in flooring, new light fixtures. I think I'm pretty good at the car stuff. I think I'm a little better at the house stuff, actually. And I think it's a simpler thing to do. Then the car stuff. The car stuff's more technical, right? But the house stuff's, a lot of people aren't into it as much. I generally consider myself handy. So that's what I've been cranking on, man, other than my hog.
And handsy.
Yeah, very handsy. I'm a very, very touch-oriented person. But besides that, man, really just like dicking around. The NX2000, when I took it out to do the review the first time, it had a little bit of trouble starting after I had driven it pretty hard. And I was like, that seems a little different. But then like let it cool down. Perfect. So I'm like, this is fuel pump issues. This is exactly what it feels like. When fuel pumps start to get old. So super easy job. I bought a fuel pump. I don't even know, $30, $40, cool. Not even.
Yeah.
Under the back seat, pull the back seat out, just pulls right out. Boom, boom, boom. No rust at all in the car. So it just comes right out. Boom, no issues. And it was the original fuel pump. So 1993, 180 plus thousand miles. I love stuff like that. And intermittent fuel pumps can be really hard to diagnose. So I didn't even do like a fuel pressure test or anything, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see the fuel pump having issues until it gets hot, heat cycles, heat soaks. If you have a lot of fuel in there, if you don't have a lot of fuel, there's all these factors. It's annoying. A fuel pump's cheap, easy job, not dropping a tank. So I just put a fuel pump in it. She'll be good for another 30 something years. Man, car is running. Dude, this thing runs so good. I love taking for a little tool around in it because it's just it feels so race car with all the suspension mods, like the coilovers and sway bars and everything tightened up, all new bushings, right? It just feels that much different than my G20. And I always thought the NX, they did put a lot more effort into making that one feel extra sporty, even over like a B13 SCR. So I love the car, and it's super weird. People stare at it. They're like, I don't know what the fuck that was. That just, you see this weird, because it looks completely, and the front, especially the front end treatment with that recessed headlights and everything, nothing looks like it. It's just such a weird car. An electric blue pearl, which is fantastic. So it's been fun, man, just cleaning that up. Shot the review, so unfortunately that'll probably be going off to someone soon. And not unfortunately, I'm sad to see it go. I've had that car for like 5 years, but it's a cool car. You don't see them at all. I don't ever recall seeing one on the road, to tell you the truth.
No, very cool. Good, eager, light, tossable, unusual looking, unusually just they're just kind of you just don't see them. So into it. I'm here for it. I'd like to buy it from you, but I can't.
Don't add any more to the collection. It is super cool, and it's all sorted too. That's the thing, right? Like whoever grabs it, it's super sorted.
Stop it! You're selling me on it. Cut it out.
No, it's a cool car, man. It would be perfect for. I built it for rallying, and I'm probably gonna be not rallyable for a while myself. So just gonna get rid of it, and then I got a Glant kicking around or something else I can bring next time. So.
Damn it! I'm gonna have to buy that thing from you now, and I don't.
No, don't do it. Don't. It's so fun, dude.
Stop! I know that's the problem.
You don't need a really rigid, well-handling 7,700 RPM limited slip front wheel drive car, Frank, with T-tops. With T-tops. It's the perfect rally car,
right? That's like the one thing, the AC.
Yeah, but $200 later, you have working AC probably. So, and who knows? It might just need a refill. So,
sure,
all the components work there, and there's no bearing.
It's R12, right?
Anything. Yeah, no, it's the modern. It's R134.
What year is it?
93, baby. So it's probably
right on the bubble.
$100 I could get working AC. It just hasn't been a priority. Yeah,
man,
it's a cool car.
We'll talk later.
Yeah,
we'll talk later.
Let me know. I'm gonna be listening pretty soon.
Yeah, it's just before you do, just text me just to say hello, and
I'll reach out.
We'll see. We will see.
All right, let's shut this down.
Shut it down. Let's go home. And thank for you, dear listener. Thank you for maybe listening along at home, or on your drive home, or on your drive away from home, or on your drive away from starting a fire at someone else's home, and while you're fleeing the scene and listening to your fourth favorite automotive podcast. That's us. Another pointless automotive podcast. You can stalk us and berate us when we go on multiple week hiatuses into yell at us digitally. That's on our OnlyFans or on our Instagram, which is at APA Podcast. You can send us nasty grams there. If you want to field horrible comments and messages, Chadwick, where would the people send those to you directly?
Yeah, guys, I've been actually putting some content up, so apologies for that. But Auto Obsessive Garage for all your rescues, restorations, and reviews. There should be an NX 2000 review coming up whenever I get a goddamn moment. Also, I think I've recently posted the TSX review, which was super fun, and some other work. I did the Lexus hybrid fan cleaning video, which I sent to Frank, and I'm going to ask a question. It's rhetorical. Frank, how clean is your hybrid fan now? I haven't looked. Okay, good question.
Quite dirty, I assume.
Right? Yeah. So I did a little tutorial on that. Check that stuff out.
I did check it out. I actually watched it, my friend. I finally...
Good little video. It's pretty tricky to shoot. A lot of stuff's hard to get to, and I try to frame everything up so you can see what I'm doing and walk you through it. But it's straightforward. It's just uncovering that thing is the biggest problem, but you should do it. Absolutely do it. There's some comments. Read the comments. A guy left a horror story about his fan getting plugged up.
Oh,
read it, and then you'll probably want to do yours.
It's just full of like used magnums and dead mice.
Oh, dude, yeah. The mice are in the magnums, and it's tied off, which is the weirdest. Exactly. I don't even know how
Poor
the
Lemmy
played
Winks.
out.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, Lemmy Winks. Yeah, dude. Where can the good folks find you, man? And your world tier class leading,
dude. Yeah, like I don't post nearly enough. Like I feel like one out of every 5 photo shoots gets a photo posted up there. So I've got a backlog. I need to go through and post stuff up. But if you want to watch me not post things on Instagram, that's going to be the Photographer's Garage Instagram, a splash on the YouTubes, and yeah, just poking around to various places in the digital world. Otherwise, yeah, or Epstein Island, you can find me there. Although it's got to have a new name, right? Like somebody's got to have bought it. It's like that was Clinton Island. Anyways, thanks for watching along here and listening along. And until next time.
As always, guys, take care. We love
Goodbye.
you. We'll catch you next time.